At age 7, my mum began to read to me Harry Potter, and by chapter 2, I was reading it myself, every night escaping into a world of characters, venturing into the unknown. I watched movies to see heroes go on adventures. I played games to explore fictional universes. Through the TV and then the internet, I followed idols, leaders, and people changing the world. Technology making it easier to become captivated by the stories and worlds of other people. We enter this endless library of books to consume, and will continue to wander its halls forever, lost browsing its contents. Or we can pick up a pen and start writing our own character, our own story, along our own path. To do this, I needed to go on an adventure. But I was afraid, scared of change, of the unknown. My dream was just that, an idea in my head. How could a life of equations and essays prepare me for an adventure? I wasn't ready. And so I pushed it aside and continued living my life. But suddenly you saw that life was passing you by. We all have a clock ticking away. And when that clock stops, the game is up. But you don't know when your clock will stop ticking. It may be many years from now, or it may be tomorrow. And so I asked myself, if it did stop tomorrow, would I feel satisfied with the life I had lived? I answered a resounding no, and so I pulled the trigger and I learnt my first lesson, that you are never ready to begin your dream. You must start your dream in fear. I took a one-way flight from my home in Australia to the other side of the world. And my dream was simple, to walk across a country. I landed in Estonia, a small country in the northeast corner of Europe. With a backpack loaded with a tent, a stove, some food and water, I began walking. And this is what I saw. A path that constantly changed. Across fields, forests, through cities and villages. "10 days in, I brought a stroller. I decided to expand my dream. I wasn't walking across a country. I was walking across a continent. I continued south, the lush green forests continuing into Latvia. Some days I would walk from sunrise to sunset. But on rainy days I sought shelter and rested. From city to city, forest to forest, village to village I walked. I set up my tent in all kinds of places. By the side of a farm, by a river, in a park, outside a church, near a sports field, next to a graveyard. During our lives, we hear the same things over and over again. Break a goal into manageable parts. Live in the present, not the past, nor the future. The walk became a great testing ground, where I had to put into practice these sort of lessons. It was the only way to stay sane as the kilometers got higher and higher. I started to understand that to master the path, I had to first master my mind. I had bad days and I had good days. Days I felt sore, sick, and questioned why I was doing this. Other days, I felt a sense of freedom to choose my own path as I navigated out of a forest, around a lake, or over a mountain. In capital cities I rested, trading the quiet forest floor for the busy city streets. Walking is a beautiful way to see the world, but it is hard work. When it rains, you get wet. When you become lost, your progress stops. When it hails, you get hit. When your cart gets damaged, you slow down. When it snows, you get cold. When you see few people, you can get lonely. And when hills become mountains, the harder you have to push. And so I pushed into the slopes of Slovakia, walking through the colours of autumn in this striking landscape. When things are going well, it can be a joy to chase your dream, step by step, day by day. But things don't always go well. Every day was filled with problems to solve, moments of stress, and even times of physical exhaustion. I saw now that I was on a path of pain. But I also realised that all worthwhile dreams lie on a path of great effort and sacrifice. If something is really worthwhile pursuing, if something will give your life meaning and long-term satisfaction, then that something will be reached along a long path of great challenges and great suffering. And so I learnt my second lesson. You must pursue your dream in pain. Entering Croatia signalled the end of the pleasant, mild autumn, as it was swept aside by the bitter chill of winter. But just as the landscape and the climate had changed day by day, week by week, so had I. I recalled back how on day 2 I had cried in my tent, overwhelmed by what I was doing. But on day 98, I cried in ecstasy, overwhelmed with joy and relief that I was at least out here, pursuing a dream. As winter set in, I stumbled into Zadar on the coast, pushing ahead on just one good wheel. But that is all I needed. After winter passed, I continued along the Adriatic Sea, footpath to mountain pass, village to city. I felt a deep sensation starting to build, a satisfaction in writing my own story, step by step, word by word, day by day, page by page. It was a story that reflected my core values and beliefs. Yet just as I began my next chapter in Montenegro, exploring another country and the weather warming up once more, my pen was taken away from me and I was writing no more. As I watched the land below out of my window seat, I reflected on the past 6 months. Of waking up each day on a new part of the world. Of crossing new landscapes, the daily challenge. And of camping on new spots, wherever I could find them, someplace on the planet. And of course the people I had met along the way, who came from all walks of life. Every day was filled with new challenges to overcome and new emotions to experience. I'd never felt so alive before. How can I ever give up this lifestyle? And so I'm still figuring out lesson 3, what it is like to live your dream. But I will find out, because after an indefinite wait, my walk continues. A dream that is not defined by the outcome nor the destination, but by the journey itself.